that. Jaw jerking. My bad. My apologies. I will take the blame. It is my fault that we are tardy. Y'all know it's my fault. Sorry guys, we're tardy. It's me. I was telling stories and whatnot. Welcome everyone to Chakra Talk this Wednesday. It is the 9th.
The 9th.
Yes. June 9th, 2021. There is why we were detained for chitting and chatting. We're talking about all the BS that's going on right now. It's a lot. It's a lot to discuss. It's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to deal with. Johnny, we're the black and gold cup twins tonight.
Mm-hmm. This ain't even mine.
Did you steal it from someone?
My brother is his,
mm-hmm.
but he dropped it on the floor. You see that little thing right there?
Yeah.
He don't like it because of that. So I'm like, well, give it to me.
You inherited the reject cup.
It's like, I ain't drinking the lid. Give me the cup there.
Exactly.
The straw still work, then that's all. That's all we need to do. Welcome. Do this right. Johnny from Tarot's Apprentice. Hello, Lauren from was Breathe, Stretch, Grow Yoga, but is now Lauren Margulies. Hello, my friend. Welcome back.
Thank you.
There's a lot. So I feel like we're going to do a nice, y'all know I'm all about the yin and the yang, the balance, right? That's that Libra thing in me. I possess no balance at all in my life, but I demand everything around me be balanced. Johnny, hush.
I'm gonna get some scales one day.
While there is some things that we're going to go ahead and just say, if they were employees at my company, we would call them detractors that are going on right now. That's the right. We're gonna balance it out with how do we get through this? What are some things we can do? And we're gonna actually just have spirit talk to us through using the oracle and the tarot. Because if it were up to us, all three of us individually and collectively would just say, burn this mother sucker to the ground.
I'll bring the wood.
Lauren, bring matches.
I'll bring this accelerant. It will just go up in flames. We're gonna remove ourselves and just have spirit coach us through, guide us through how to address because there's some main themes you guys are going to learn tonight. Tonight's also a great night for setting intentions. There's a deck that I use sometimes when my brain is like hyperactive and trying to come up with intentions. So we can also help you guys with setting intentions, because this is what this new moon energy is about. Set your intention on what kick butt things you want to do and accomplish for the next month. Hope that makes sense. I want to welcome, thank you to my mods. Thank you, Lucky Girl. You always are awesome. Thank you, the wonderful Sharon. Thank you guys so much for moderating. I see Kathy and Ninny and Roses and CC, Earth Mama, Judy, Cheryl, TLT. So thank you guys so much for joining. Let's go ahead and get this started. And Lauren, did you want to? Are you going to share any amazing screen?
No, I'm not going to share a screen tonight. Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll just go based on the word.
Well, then we've chitted and chatted. So let's go ahead and get this started. How do we need to start looking at things? What do we need to start learning, Lauren?
Yeah. So, we'll talk first about where we are right now, because we're like in the thick of the new moon, which is happening like early morning tonight. So it's like this evening, early morning. I think it's around 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, somewhere around there. I don't have the exact time written down, but the moon is already in Gemini, which when the moon moves towards the sun, once they hit, that is the exact moment of the new moon. But when the moon is already in the same sign, we're already in that like fertile soil of Gemini energy, because the sun and the moon are already there. We're just waiting for them to meet. And you said something interesting, which I love. It's about of course, new moons, we always want to set intentions. Something I want to layer onto that is there's a lot of astrologers who are apprehensive about doing a lot of ritual around eclipses. And today is not just a new moon, but it's a new moon eclipse. And so this is not one where you want to like go crazy and have some whole big ritual around what you do. However, new moon intentions are something that I feel is still a really valuable way to kind of tune the energy of the eclipse through your own intention setting mind. Helps to funnel it in a way that you're hoping it goes, because they are portals and they are kind of pushing us into these new realms that we don't have full control over, but we do have the capacity to use our intention to determine kind of how it feels. And so I think that's an important distinction.
Okay.
So yeah, we're in that energy already. So you're probably already really feeling the new moon vibes.
Ooh, Lord. Go ahead, Johnny.
Okay, well, let me stop trying to write it down since I'm going to say it. But how best to, and maybe we can ask the oracle, how best at this time to funnel that intention and that energy? Because the funnel, as it is shaped, as it is supposed to work, you start with whatever you're starting with, and it goes down to your target, your pinpoint even.
Mm-hmm.
But life happens along the way, and crap gets crappy sometimes, and sometimes things don't go exactly where you want them to go.
Yes.
And so if something is to come up, how do you sort of stay on track and keep that intention? Because you can get very, especially during these times, you can get very unmotivated if it doesn't go exactly as planned.
Yeah. I love that. And I would love to pull cards on that too, because I think that's a really great one to pull cards on. I think part of what's coming to my mind initially is just, open-mindedness. And sometimes the intention is just, I am intending to allow spirit to guide me, knowing that there is a purpose to whatever I'm going through. Oh, I already pulled a card, and my goodness. That's so spot on. I love when that happens. This card is embracing change. And it says, with every loss, I understand that something new is about to be birthed beyond what I can imagine. So not trying to control spirit, but letting spirit do the work.
I got a couple. I love that. Letting spirit flow, spirit move. One thing you need to also do is focus. Don't get distracted. Because Johnny was saying, that's such a good point, Johnny. When you start to see it ain't going the way I need it to go, you have to remember it's not things what we think we need is actually what we want. There's an attachment to an outcome. I need this to go a certain way, which is really I want it to go a certain way. So you need to rescue yourself, rescue that thought process, and realize that this is something that you're trying to cling to. You have an attachment. So just go back and refocus. Focus on the thing that needs to happen. Just know, because it's going to happen. There's a respite, a rescue is going to happen. Cleanse the energy around it too. Maybe you're bringing some stagnant energy or some unwanted energy into whatever it is you're trying to manifest. So go ahead and cleanse it. You can actually write it on a piece of paper. Take some sage that piece of paper. That is the act of cleansing that intention. Don't throw the paper away. Don't do anything with the paper. You need to cleanse it, because what you're going to do if you throw it away or burn it, you've written off your intention. So just refocus. No rescue is coming. Cleanse the energy around it.
I got, we start with spirit. Keter, this is the crown, spirituality. This is where your power needs to be coming from. At this moment, when you are funneling, I like that, when you are funneling your intentions down to a point, but you realize that along the way life is happening, you have to remain focused, as Adrian just said, that sometimes things don't go as planned, but they are still going. And so they are going to get there. It just may take some different routes. And that's okay, because that's what life is. You're going down one way. Okay, there is a blockade. Take a left. You'll go there eventually. You're just going to have to go the long way around. Dreams and faith. The thing that you started out doing, remember why you started out to do it in the first place. Stay focused on whatever it is. Don't be deterred from it, because it can be easily done because things are not going your exact way. But you are going to get there. Stay focused and let something other than your lower self help you. You'll get there.
Oh, we already starting heavy. Lauren, you said something earlier. You're talking about eclipse or portal. You said something, and I always try to like follow what you're saying, but I'm too dumb about astrology.
No.
I said dumb about astrology. What is a portal? What is this? What you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, the way that eclipses work is they have to do with the nodes of the moon, and the nodes of the moon are energetic points. They're not planets, and they every 18 months they switch signs, and they're the only part of the astrological chart that moves clockwise. Everything else moves counterclockwise, so they're moving around the opposite way of all the planets. And every time they change signs, wherever the nodes are, that is where the eclipse season energy is. And so for this 18-month period, we're in the Gemini Sagittarius portal, and eclipses are portals of transformation. And so I will say that this energy started 6 months ago. November, December of 2020 is when we first had our eclipses of Gemini as the north node and Sagittarius as the south node. And this is our second round of eclipses in the same signs. And so again, north node is in Gemini, so the energy is Gemini energy. And so tonight is the new moon, so where the moon and the sun are both in Gemini. And what it is, it's a portal of energy that lasts about 6 months. So what happens in this time frame, which is from the full moon that happened on May 26th until June 10th, this is like what's called a wormhole, where we're like really in this state of confusion. I don't know about you guys, but like I've been in full-blown confusion the last couple of weeks. Like, where am I going? What is happening? The world feels upside down. Yep. We're going to start to get more clarity, but it's kind of like this 2.5 week period has changed the energy. And now we're going to move through 6 months trying to kind of understand exactly what's happening with this period of change.
So can we ask then, what is this wormhole energy supposed to bring to us, bring to society, bring to us?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm like,
I love that.
You said wormhole. That is very specific. And that kind of how it feels. Because there were some things, just personally, I thought were going on a specific track, even from last month when we did Chakra Talk. And I was like, okay, right. And then literally it was like all of a sudden it just went, no. And I'm like, but that's not the energy that was bringing. And so when you said wormholes, like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. So let's look into it. What changes is supposed to bring to society? Or what are we supposed to get from it?
I'm going to start with my card because, again, it's perfect. It's heart healing. And it says, my courageous healing journey brings me personal awakening and a deeper relationship with myself. And this relates back to retrogrades, which we'll get there more, but retrogrades are about being more internal. So the fact that Mercury is retrograde right now with this eclipse season, and it's in the sign of Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, a lot of this eclipse is about being more internal and recognizing our own heart's desires and how we can heal that part of ourselves, which is the essence of our being. It's our heart.
I get wisdom. It is bringing knowing. It is bringing knowledge. Just then, I had to sort of dial back my first initial reaction. Was you can bring forth knowledge, but where does it actually take root and become something fertile? Because, everybody is not looking for knowledge, and some people who get knowledge specifically don't want to know. And I'm like, okay, hush. That's not what the question was. Stop doing the pessimistic thing. It's bringing knowledge. That's it. You can accept it or not accept it. You live in the dark, you live in the light. That's your own business. But I get wisdom, the Ace of Swords, and Third Eye. 3 different decks, and they all say the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's bringing some knowledge. It's bringing some wisdom. It's bringing some survival tips, possibly. So stay open. Stay awake. Stay open. Stay awake. Stay open. Stay awake.
Mine is very similar, Johnny. It is hangman, change of perspective, self-sacrifice. Sometimes we've got to sacrifice what we think. We've got to change perspective. That's why that man is hanging upside down from a tree. He's looking at it from another perspective. Okay? Because with that, it's going to bring some change. The change is only going to come after we've changed our perspective. Once we've changed our perspective, once we've made the change, that comes liberation. And that's liberation, and baby, I want it. So it's going to be I feel like everything we all said, there's a progression. It's a progression with the opening the heart, working on the heart, love, the gaining the wisdom, as Johnny was saying, gaining that wisdom. From that wisdom is going to come that change perspective, that change, and then that liberation.
So it's bringing some personal work. If you're willing to do it,
Yes.
Which if you do, it's going to produce a lot of growth. So take it into consideration.
Ooh, Lauren, keep educating us. What else do we need to know about this eclipse, my friend?
So let's talk a little bit about Mercury, because we mentioned it, but we haven't really gone into what that means. And, everyone has sort of a fear around Mercury retrogrades, which I always try to quell that sense of fear, because the reason that people are so, against Mercury retrograde is really because of like the way our society values just like moving full steam ahead. And it's really uncomfortable for us to like chill. It's really uncomfortable for us to be still and like go back and think about our own internal dialogue. And that's what Mercury retrograde is. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Like, what are the thoughts that are going on in my head? Because Mercury is our thinking mind. It's our logical part of ourself. And when we have too much going on with Mercury, it can be racing thoughts. And sometimes we need to learn how to sit back with that and bring a sense of calm, bring a sense of stability with that thinking mind. And that's what Mercury retrograde is inviting us to do. Mercury is conjunct this new moon. And so I do feel like, and again, Mercury rules Gemini. So it's like it's in its home base and it's going retrograde in its own sign, which makes it so much more potent. So I do think there's a lot of storylines around communication that are coming up right now. So I think that will be a good question in some form of, I don't know, what's the communication we're supposed to be learning, or
let's look at it. Let's focus on communication. Let's just look at what communication are we supposed to be learning? Is it supposed to be a new style? Is it supposed to be like what's going on with that? Just a general on communication right now. We'll dial in and ask some more specific questions in a minute.
Yeah.
You got Lauren.
So I've got savoring the positive. It says, I allow myself the spaciousness of savoring the delicious gifts in my life.
It's
very retrograde,
It's very retrograde.
Yeah.
Johnny, do you need a minute? Because you were.
You know what's so interesting is I'm confused, and I pulled the Seven of Cups at the same time. Because none of my cards go together, but I'm about to make it work.
Okay.
I am an oracle, and that's what I do. So
magic.
Malkuth, exactly, and hearts and faith. Malkuth is the ground, the kingdom, the grounding, the foundation, the leveling. Faith, your higher self. Now, mind you, faith, it goes out with no promise that it comes back. So here with the Hearts card and the Seven of Cups, there is a lot of trust in this communication. Now, there's also a lot of difference between hearing and listening.
Yes, we'll get into
Some
that.
people hear and some people listen.
Amen.
If you listen, you learn. If you hear, you're just waiting for that person to pause so you can start talking.
Yes.
And so what's happening here is you're going to have to learn the difference between hearing and listening. You're going to have to learn how to discern what it is that is coming in and what it is that needs to go out. If you need to work on your the throat chakra, because it's not all about talking, it's about listening as well. And so when you send something out there with no promise that it comes back, then there's your opportunity to wait and listen. Something's coming in and it may not be what you expected. So work on your listening bones a little bit harder for this part of communication. Communication is not always about talking.
There's a lot of flexibility going on right now with communication. It's flexible. It's what I'm getting is it's very malleable, and I don't know what that means. It's just it's flexible. It's flowing, right? More so than any other time where maybe something's more black and white. This is not just gray, it's orange, it's fuchsia, it's magenta, it's pink, it's mauve. You see all the colors in the pink spectrum, not just pink. Okay.
It's fluid.
So also there's some things that are being withheld in communication as well. Four of Pentacles is holding tightly, grasping. There's communication that's being held back. So people are maybe not communicating or expressing fluidly enough, even though there's flexibility that needs to happen. Even maybe people who are aware that communication gets disjointed during Mercury retrograde are even probably not saying what they would normally say because they're like, I know this could be misconstrued. So there's just a lot of what needs to happen, but what's happening, but we're fighting it with holding on with the Four of Pentacles. Johnny said something, I want to dig deeper into it. I guess we kind of asked that. So maybe even go into it a little deeper. How do we need to adjust how we communicate? Is there an adjustment that we need to make? If that was the energy, what adjustments do we need to make to get with it, to get with the program? And this is how do we need to speak? And then we'll look next at how do we need to adjust our listening, because that's what Johnny said that really tipped me off. This is twofold. Go ahead, ma'am.
So I've got the unknown. It says, I bow to the infinite intelligence of the cosmos and my next steps are revealed. So I think it's about letting spirit talk through you, and it also, I wanted to touch back on my last one of savoring the positive. Something that Johnny had said before we even jumped in here was, people not understanding and jumping into negativity. And I think that's something that can happen with communication issues is that people want to assume the worst. And so I think remembering to be well-intentioned in conversations and let spirit speaking through you so that there's more clarity in what arrives in conversation and there's more of that true, authentic ability to share.
I think right now, going back to the listening part, now is a great time for working on that specifically. I get meditation. And something I learned from Adrienne when she was saying about, this was a while ago, meditation is not clearing your mind. In fact, they encourage you to do the opposite. Focus on something positive, bring that in, fill the space with that. But what I want is for you to focus on the bringing something positive in. The Six of Wands, it's all about you. It's the herald, the person who is the center of attention. However, in this one in particular case where retrograde is here, things can be misunderstood very quickly. So now is the time to listen first so that you don't react like I was doing a couple hours ago. So it's like now is the time to just listen to what people say, because maybe they didn't say it the way you took it the first time. So bring that in, let that sit in, drown out the noise, drown out all this that's going on, all that hoopla. And then we have dreams. There's still something that wants to speak to you. And maybe that's when it's going to do it, when everything is quiet. So this is why it's now time to listen. Something's coming in, let it come in.
We need to commit to speaking truth from a humble heart and just understand that truth may bring a little bit of an explosion, because not everybody can handle the truth. And to Johnny's point earlier, they may be so focused on misunderstanding the truth. Okay. It starts with commitment. The commitment card. Make a commitment. Make a commitment to speak. Make a commitment to express. But what are you going to express? Truth. It needs to be that true divine throat chakra, speaking with divine truth. Okay. Being humble about whatever it is you're trying to say, that humility. Speaking truth is actually a humble act. It's not to say something to piss somebody off purposely. It was just to be humble, to say it. So speak from a humble heart and just understand it. That still may cause a little bit of subterfuge. But as long as you're speaking truth and with humble hearts, let the chips fall where they may. It is not your job. As long as you're speaking from a place of honesty and humility, the chips will work themselves out.
Because you'll be right.
You'll be right. How do we need to listen? How do we need to listen right now, Spirit? How do we need to listen?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one. It says boundaries. My clear boundaries allow me to protect myself, nurture my intentions, and follow my true self. Yes, boundaries. We have to create boundaries around who we share our intentions with. I think that's an important one, because sometimes you share parts of yourself with the wrong person and they're going to, knock you down. They're not going to support your authentic vision, your dreams. And so putting boundaries around who you communicate with is the first step in minimizing communication issues, being real picky with who you engage in conversation with right now. I think that's healthy. It's healthy for your mind.
I pulled one card and it told me to stop, so I'll stop there. It's clouds. This is the card that tells you that there is a message in nature. Now, how do you need to listen? Now, here's the thing about messages in nature. Nature is, no matter how industrial we become, it's always there. And there was, on Tony Shining Hawk Hill in her live stream today, someone was asking about how to connect with your guides. And I was saying that they're already with you. So you don't have to go to the Walmart to pick up guides in the chip department. They're already with you. So all you need to do is start to listen. So the messages and the signs and all the things that you need are already there. You don't need to go search for them. They're already there. Now is the time to learn how to move out the chatter. This is the listening part. Move out the chatter and just be open to what's going to happen. It's coming to you. It's already around you. The messages are already there. You don't have to go to some secret website to get messages.com. They're already with you. So now is the time to start paying attention. This is why when you start listening and then you quiet down a little bit, which is hard for Geminis and Gemini season, when you quiet down a little bit, then you realize that the stuff around you starts to speak, and then you get the messages and then makes sense. And then, oh my goodness, I can't believe I didn't see this before. Yeah, because you was doing too much of this. So that's how you just shut all the rest of that down and just listen. It's already there.
I get a combination of what you both discussed. Protection. For the next week and a half, you need to wake up every morning, put up a safety sphere of protection around you, then do it. and ask for that, particularly for that safety sphere of protection to be around your throat chakra. Protect what you hear.
I like that.
Don't put your head in the sand and not hear, but protect what you hear. Okay? And just know that you need to stay on your path. This is all throat chakra, divine truth, speaking and listening to divine truth. Once you put that safety sphere of protection around your throat chakra, know that whatever you hear is going to be for you, your path, and what you're supposed to do, like Johnny was saying. You're quiet. Hush now. Hush. Get in this house, quit playing around and just be quiet. Sit down and be quiet for a minute. Put your protection on and just listen. Just listen for a second. Be quiet, because what you're going to get is so much bigger than just how to react, how it's going to be messages about your path, what you're supposed to be doing. Dear Lord, help me trust that there's a plan far beyond what I can see through and how I can see through my fears and limitations. There's a path. Just hush. It's going to come to you.
This is why Spirits talks to me when I'm asleep. Because I always got this going, or there's always something in here going. It's like, Lord Jesus, this child don't ever shut up, do I? No.
And that's why it has the most profound conversations with me when I'm playing my instruments.
You know what? I have found that doing these, that it kind of stops. It will not kind of. It stops the chatter.
Absolutely.
This is very strange. I didn't think it would, but it does. Because I like all of a sudden I'm in tuned to sound. Sound disrupts, like I said before. It disrupts it and injects something else.
Lauren, how do you quiet your quiet?
Sound is definitely my biggest gift for quieting the mind. I have a Gemini moon, so I totally feel that. It's a huge part of my ability to just think a million things. I mean, that's why I became a meditation teacher, because I was like, okay, I need to learn some tools. So I started practicing for years, and then it was like, oh, this works. Like, you have to find ways to bring the calm to that mind. And on this topic, Gemini is the sign of duality. And a lot of times people think of it as, this negative thing of these twins. But the truth is that we all have duality in us. Like, we are not all one thing. We are this and we are that. And if we don't embrace the light and the shadow, you're always going to be, chasing away from something else. And so I think what Johnny just mentioned about Gemini, I think is really important, because when we're in this eclipse season and the North Node is in Gemini, it's teaching us to adapt to Gemini energy, and that is all about duality. And so I think that's an important point that you made.
So it's teaching us, with it being in the eclipse, being in Gemini, with the duality, we've got these both sides to us, as I call the yin and the yang. How can we embrace this? What can Spirit tell us about how we need to embrace our duality during the season?
Well, it can be challenging. Yin and yang, push and pull. Like these, you need them both, but they don't always seem to coexist exactly the way you want them to. So how do we adjust this?
Okay, Spirit.
So I've got a good one, which is grace. Grace. It says, when I open to the deep source of grace, the flow of my life feels effortless and vibrant. And I think being gracious with ourselves is so hard. A lot of times we can find grace for other people, but it's much more difficult to find grace for our own flaws. We want to beat ourselves up. We want to, talk about how we're just no good, or, we're always our own worst critic. And I think finding grace for your own flaws and befriending the shadow, which is the flaws, which is the parts that we want to hide. If you don't have that grace to help allow yourself to be seen in those ways, you're just going to keep, pushing it down. And whatever we try to push down just gets bigger and grows. So I think finding grace is so important.
It is. Absolutely. What you got, Mr. Oracle?
Interesting. Don't fight it. Realize that it's a part of you, and You need it. Now, here's the thing about fighting it, though. If you want to make a cake, you have to break the egg. You may have to make a mess. You may have to go through the mud to get to the plains. You have to get through the garbage, the Five of Pentacles here. You have to get through all of that in order to get what you want with the Nine of Cups. But the Eight of Pentacles is telling you this is a day in, day out thing. I don't ever want someone to get the impression, because Oracle cards can sort of do that. They give you the impression, because most of them don't have a balanced scale. They all seem to be uplifting cards. None of them are kicking the pants cards. And so what this is saying here with the only card that sort of deals with some reality of life, the extremes card, don't live in one lane and then try to ignore the other one. Because it's going to come back and it's going to smash, and then you're going to have a mess on your hands that you don't know how to deal with. Day in and day out. Don't think that everything is going to be fluffy. I'm not saying that just because, you know, the resistance and resilience, you have to push through it and you have to be strong and so forth and so forth. Yes, but that's life. You're going to have to do that anyway. So day in and day out, you're going to have to deal with this. But the way you deal with it is accepting both of them, the fluffy part and the ugly part. You need both in order to become a productive person. Accept it.
I feel like everybody watching is a teenager and they got caught doing some mess and they came home to mom and dad, like Johnny would be dad, Lauren is mom, and y'all giving them a smackdown on what they did wrong and how they know they did wrong and what they need to change. And then I got to come back and be the auntie that's like, you should have listened to your parents, because what they tried. I'm like, yeah, everything y'all saying tonight, I'm the bad auntie that has to come in and I'm reinforcing everything you guys said. Duality, to deal with this duality, there's illumination. You need to illuminate the shadow self. You also need to illuminate the good parts of the good of the self, of the ego. But you can't do it. You can't embrace it like Johnny said. You can't deal with it unless you illuminate it. There has to be a microscope. There has to be a flashlight on the situation to look at it and illuminate it, because you can't deal with it if you don't. Okay? And that's what tarot is telling me with Spirit. Six of Swords, moving to higher ground to have this the world's completion. We cannot show up to be present and complete and whole as a human unless we've dealt with this duality, this thing called duality. You will never be at the place of fully present human being unless you've illuminated the both sides, your yin and your yang, and you deal with it. There's you got to allow it to happen, allowing it to happen, allowing it to come forth. Because again, that's what needs to happen. There needs to be a liberation. Come forth to have this completion, to have this illumination. It all works together. There is no one side and any other, like both of you are saying. It's all together. It is the we, it is the us. That is the Gemini. It's not half of the Gemini, it's the whole Gemini. It's the whole. That's what I'm getting. Oh Lord, girl, I know we got like 8. I know there's more that's going on. I just been like, God, I'm already. So it's a lot. What else is going on with this retrograde, my friend? We've covered communication. So duality.
Yeah. Like other than just the retrograde, other than just Mercury retrograde, I should say, we also have Saturn retrograde right now, which lasts a lot longer. That's happening until October. And we also have Pluto retrograde, which is also happening until October. And so Saturn is our structure. Saturn is our teacher. So Saturn is like, when he goes retrograde, it's like, we have to reconsider our establishments, reconsider our structures and what lessons we're supposed to be learning overall. Because Saturn is bigger lessons. Mercury is more just like the communication and things like of that nature. But Saturn is like more of our life lessons. And so with this time period, I would say we want to tap into that part of it also. Like, what is Saturn trying to teach us in his retrograde period? I think it would be a good, and through this new moon, especially.
So let's look.
Now, Saturn is the planet of what?
Saturn is the great teacher, and Saturn cycles are all about life lessons that we're learning. He's all about building structure. Saturn rules Capricorn, so very like hardworking energy. So when it's retrograde, not as hardworking. You know, it's more of that. It's like that uncomfortable space for most people in our society, because we're used to just like, we feel like we're supposed to be go, go, go. And so Saturn retrograde with also Mercury is just another level. So I've already got one. And this is perfect because this card is self-renewal. And it is, as I clean out old energies, I have more space for that which wants to be birthed into my life. So that's perfect. I mean, we have to sometimes reconsider the structures that we've built. And are these structures still serving us? And is there a way that we can, create new structures that are more beneficial to our personal growth?
So I get epiphany, chakras, beginnings, and wisdom. So in order to combat basically structure failures, because your life is supposed to be this, and you're supposed to see everything that you're supposed to do. It's supposed to be planned out. I go here, I go there, so such and such and such. But if your structures are failing, if your reliabilities are failing, if not failing as in it's going away, but just it's not working as planned, then what you do is you inoculate yourself to such a thing. You make sure that everything in your life is aligned. You become the pyramid. A pyramid keeps its shape no matter how much it wears away. So you have to make sure that you are the pyramid, that no matter what life is about to throw at you, forewarned is forearmed. Since you know that this is going on, especially until October, that's a bunch of months away. If you know this is going on, then start planning now to make sure that if something erodes, you still keep your shape. If something erodes, you're still above water. So now that you know, you are responsible.
For once, I got nothing that you guys got. So now I'm the I got action and the 10 of Wands. I'll start. So what actions have we done that have caused more trouble and burden to our life? How have we inflicted our own pain? How have we made things more difficult for us? Not looking at, well, Johnny said that Ricky said, and then I got it. No. This is about you. What have you done? What actions have you taken to cause a burden? You've got to reflect on that. You have to be honest with that. You've got to talk about it. If not to your spouse or to yourself, to spirit. Because what happens is, what we need to do too is make a choice. There's some choices we need to make so we don't create this pattern. We don't repeat this pattern. To get a deeper understanding, deepening, you've got to truly embrace where we have been. We're not the martyr in our story. Sometimes we are the villain. We've got to understand that. What actions have we taken that have caused the burden? What new actions, what new choices do we need to make to give us that deeper understanding, that deeper connection to ourselves, to spirit, to make more positive, lasting changes for our lives? I'm not saying I'm just. What else, ma'am? What other? Who is this? Y'all, this is heavy. This is heavy today. Too much going on.
It's a lot of energy. It really is.
Prepared is a heavy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is for sure.
Adulting. We're adulting today.
We're adulting. Yes, we are.
So something else that's happening with this new moon is that the new moon is squaring Neptune, and Neptune is the planet of spirituality. It's the planet, it's the higher octave of Venus. This is like where we tap into collective consciousness. And so something I would consider with this, it's like when a planet is squaring another planet, they're almost at odds. There's like a, so there's a conversation happening between spirituality and Gemini new moon energy, which is planting seeds about communication and how do we integrate spirituality into this new moon. Our intention setting could be part of that question, or Neptune can also create fuzziness, which is deepening this Mercury retrograde. So maybe what is spirit trying to send through messages with this square could be another potential thing to pull for. So I'm open to whatever you guys
would this be, or would you say this is a time where it's not the greatest idea to start new relationships, whether business or personal or whatever, because of the at odds conversations?
Definitely. Yes. This is not a great time to start new relationships. It's a time to reflect. This would be a time to like reconnect with an old relationship. Like that would be, retrogrades are usually when someone pops back in from the past. And, or even if it's just like a business relationship, somebody sends you a random email. It doesn't have to be a romantic partnership, but this is where you'd get those old email, those old flame conversations, old work conversations. And that's the kind of stuff you want to focus on, is revisiting, reconvening, but starting new things during all this retrograde energy, I wouldn't advise it. It's not, the best time. I wouldn't start a new job right now personally, although I also like to say this though, like maybe that's the way it's meant to work out for you. So I don't think like stop your life, because maybe you have, maybe Mercury retrograde ends up being where you get a promotion every time Mercury's retrograde, so I don't want to say it as like a be all end all, because it also depends on where this stuff is happening in your chart, which is really important. Like, what's your rising sign? Where is Gemini in your chart? And that will tell you so much about what aspect of your life this is specifically for you. But, as far as starting new relationships, I wouldn't choose Mercury retrograde personally. But if you meet someone and they're the love of your life, like I wouldn't say push it away either.
And if you have not had your chart done, go get it done from Lauren Margulies.
Thank you.
Get your whole life together, I guarantee you.
I had the pleasure of meeting with Lucky Girl yesterday. So our moderator extraordinaire. And so it's like I've been with so many of y'all and I feel so blessed.
I need mine done again to where I don't have 99 interruptions.
So Gemini.
Oh my God, I'm ignoring the whole world next time. I swear.
I was going to say, I put the link in the description. I also put a link in the chat, her Calendly, and then Lucky Girl also put the link. So check it out. She's got multiple astrology sessions too. So please, there's a 30-minute, a 60-minute. There's multiple options. I like it's a child. Let's go. You had a question and then we got super sidetracked and now I forgot the question.
Yeah.
You said, so let's start with that question and see what other ones spring up.
Okay.
Repeat the question, Lauren.
So it had to do with Neptune and the planet of spirituality squaring this new moon. I think it was around the conversation between spirit and our thinking mind, something to that nature. I don't remember the exact question because I mentioned too many after that. That's my Gemini moon speaking to you.
So let's go back over though. Is our spiritual aspect right now at odds with moon energy?
A little bit, yeah.
And what does that mean?
So a square is when there's planets that are they're trying to have a conversation and they're not. It's like Mercury retrograde. They don't understand each other. But the squares in charts are sometimes the most potent placements because sometimes that's where like you learn how to navigate those energies. It's like they're in conversation. They're not fully understanding each other, but they're trying to work towards some like leveling up. And so the conversation could be something around like, how is spirit trying to level up our duality or our communication, you know, all these different parts
And
of
what kind of energy does the moon carry just by itself?
the moon is our intuitive
Emotional.
self. It's our emotional self. It's our intuitive self. It's our, you know, day-to-day
So
practices.
our intuitions, our third eye, our gut instinct, our emotions are right now kind of at odd with our crown chakra, our higher self, our God.
A little bit. And and the sun is there too. So it's like the sun is blocking out the moon. So it's like there's even more there's even more confusion and, you know, disillusionment in how those things are connected.
So is there I don't know if this is the question, I'm going to pose it though. Is there right now a block, or not a block? Is there right now something we need to be aware of when it comes to our spiritual connection? Because so many people, in my personal readings, the number one question I get is, how can I connect and what's my spiritual purpose? And that's something spiritual. It's never money and career and all that. It's something always spiritual. And the reason that is because people were never taught how to turn that on.
Yep.
And so it's interesting because sometimes we cannot be aware that there's something happening, something blocking or something fuzzy or something wrong. We just know everything in the world's not right now. So it's like, you know, we need to be aware if our connection is going a little fuzzy. So is there something?
I had an analogy when Lauren was explaining it. It's like Neptune and the other planet are in marriage counseling. And right outside of marriage counseling, there's which the sun is like a woman in a mini skirt walking by distracting, so they they can't have a good conversation. Like
oh, he pulled the Gemini card.
Yeah.
Lovers and communication.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So good.
Is there something? I love the question. Say the question again, Johnny.
I don't know what these cards are saying. Is there some sort of thing we need to be aware of spiritually with our higher self? Because like I said, it can be very easy to not even realize that it's been blocked or that it's fuzzy or that something's wrong. So is there something we need to be aware of, something we need to be on the lookout for to say, okay, this is going wrong and this is why?
So I got a card that just feels perfect, which is Soul's Truth. I listen to my soul's simple truth and allow my life to unfold naturally. And so maybe it's this Neptune in this conversation with the sun and the moon is actually downloading information into our intuitive selves. Maybe we look at it as this conversation is actually a download, and it's an opportunity for Neptune to kind of infuse that soul purpose into our internal being, which is our moon self, our more internal part of self, our intuitive self. So I like thinking about it that way.
So, self-reflection moment. In my chart was a revelation that I needed to create better habits and more, because I have a solar plexus issue, to be a little more outgoing, I guess. And so routines was one of the things that I was trying to adjust. It didn't work, but I'm trying still. So I'm going to push this out there, though, even though I'm not practicing what I preach, but I am going to tell you that you should have a routine that inserts some sort of, if you're not agnostic or atheist, some sort of spiritual talk. Now, spiritual talking and talking to God is not church. So you don't have to do it for 2 hours. 5 minutes, you have time. There is no such thing as I don't have time to talk to God, because yes, you do. Because if your car was hanging over the cliff, you'd have time to talk to him. So you got time to talk to him when things are not that bad. If you're washing your hair, talk. If you're walking to the car, talk. You have time. Communication in white light. You should be in communication with it every day anyway. So the reason why this is such these cards here. The lovers, the hearts, and the baby card. I'm like, what are you really trying to say? But there should be a family aspect. He should be a part of it. God should be a part of your family aspect. There should be a moment where you spend time with the divine, period. You spend time. If you hadn't seen somebody in 16 years, you'd stop in the grocery store. Hey, girl, hey, and y'all talking. Oh, such as you find time for that. Find time for this. That should be a part of your day anyway. So it doesn't matter if whatever's going on in the world, tomorrow I'm going to talk to you. And then the next day. So whatever was happening, whatever was going on, I don't care. I'm not going to forget. Tomorrow I'm going to talk to you. As soon as you open your eyes, you should be in conversation.
That is so true. Stop trying to go forward. You're trying to rush, create, manifest this super deep spirituality. You're trying to bypass something in your spiritual progress. And what it's trying to tell you is you're almost there. You're like, I used to be a runner, and I used to run marathons and half marathons. Don't ever do it. I think people who do it are on crack. I was on crack for multiple years, but I'll claim maybe it was fun. I don't know. Okay. There's a part in every runner's body where there's a part of the race where no matter what, they shut down. Their body just does not want to get through it. It is physical. So there's the part where we mentally have to turn on. For me, I'm very good at 10 miles. After the 10 miles, it's crapshoot. And I have to really talk to spirit to get me through because my body has shut down. Same thing when I ran a full 18 miles. I was done. I had 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24. I had 6 more miles to go. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So what it's saying is you're almost there. If you're Adrian, you're at mile 10 or mile 18 of the full of the half. You're almost there. You're at the gateway. You're at the precipice of full talking to spirit, but you want to bypass it so badly. You can't. Focus on right now. Focus on right now. Be present. Like Johnny said, wake up tomorrow morning, talk to Jesus, talk to Allah, talk to Muhammad, talk to Ganesha, whomever. Talk to him. Be present right now because you're at the gateway. And if you're present and you continue to build and foster to take that next step, you will finish the half or the full and you'll be able to go forward. But focus on right now. You're at the gateway. You're not quite there. Don't lie to yourself at mile 10 and say that you're done. No, if you got 3.25 miles left. That's a lot. You're not done. But just recognize it and be, how can you get through right now?
Can I say something? This is a sidebar.
Absolutely.
Lucky girl. If you don't get your ass somewhere and go to sleep,
Yes.
she said she's not feeling good. Okay, we've had this conversation before, you and I. If you are not up to whatever, you don't owe nobody on YouTube nothing. Everybody appreciates the crap out of you being a good moderator and so forth and so forth. You do not owe nobody nothing on YouTube. If you don't feel good, go lay down, go sit down, go fall down, whatever it is you want to go do, but you ain't got to be up here doing no moderations.
Because let's be real, there's 124 of us in a chat.
I
already have 2 other mods here. With me and Johnny, there's 4. I can make Lauren 1 real quick. That's 5. We got it. We got it. Stop being the martyr.
I don't want to see your name no more. Don't type nothing else.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just tell you.
Don't copy paste nothing else. I don't want to see your name no more in this chat. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
I said stop typing.
I pulled cards for her yesterday, and it was like, you bet her rest. Literally, the cards were like, rest. So I was like, you better not be moderating tomorrow night, but here she is. Go sleep, girl.
When you drop over and keel over from either exhaustion, I'm not saying you're going to die because we're going to be positive. When you keel over from exhaustion, none of us we're going to be like, oh, she should have rested. That's what we're going to say. And that's as far as the empathy is going to go. You have to take care of yourself first.
We appreciate you. Don't ever think we don't.
Yeah.
But you still have to take care of you too.
That's
You
it.
take care of everybody else. You want everybody's stream. You take care of everybody's business.
Yes.
Take care of yours too. Go
Right now.
cuddle with your dog.
As a matter of fact,
dog.
I know exactly how to do it.
Kick her out.
Right.
Feel better.
It's been handled.
Go
She's in
rest.
timeout.
Go
Easier
rest.
Easier said than done. That's been handled.
Okay.
Oh my God.
It's okay. You don't owe
And I did
nobody
it right.
nothing.
So she really in timeout for quite a long. I did that intentionally.
Go rest.
Go rest.
Oh my
You
gosh.
have earned it, ma'am.
Go rest.
Okay. Back to the show.
Thank you for that interlude. For that little.
Yes.
Thank you,
It
Johnny.
needed to happen.
Yes. Okay. And don't take it wrong and don't send me no email. No retrograde, we can get misunderstandings, but you have to take care of you.
About why I kicked you out of the live stream. I need you to rest. This is nothing but love. Loving
Everybody
kindness.
is in agreement. You have to take care of you.
Loving kindness.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, what was we talking about? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, okay, we talked about communication. Talked about all of this has been about some form of spirituality. Lauren, we were just talking about how we need to connect more to spirit because Saturn's doing something funky with somebody. It's like they're in marriage counseling, and that's the best I can explain that right now. So, and really it was Saturn eclipse is what the broad topic of what we were discussing.
That was Neptune was squaring the new moon is what we were talking about with the spirituality. Yeah. Something else that I wanted to talk about that we talked about before, which is Gemini and Sagittarius rule travel. And, summertime is big time for travel. And first of all, Mercury, we know, rules communication. So when Mercury is retrograde, there's all types of communication mishaps, and airplane kerfuffles and things of that nature are very natural and normal during Mercury retrograde. But the Gemini and Sagittarius axis also rules local travel versus international travel. And so I am curious if at some point during this eclipse, not just this eclipse season, but during this 1.5 year period where the nodes are in Gemini and Sagittarius, if things are going to change with travel. And that's something that we're starting to hear a little bit about in the news and seems to be growing. And I'm curious what Spirit has to say about travel. And I don't know if there's a better question that you guys want to ask to that, or.
I like that one.
Okay.
I don't have a better. I'm trying to think of pulling it down. Let's see.
Spirits.
I know. I grabbed my Tarit.
Now, mind you, this is the fractured deck because there's no court cards. There's no. Oh, I was say high priestess. What do you call them things? There's no major arcana.
Major arcana.
There's no high priestesses in here.
The devil man. Let's see. Pull some.
I'm moving to a new deck too.
All right.
That's all right. It'll still answer me because it has no choice.
Shoot, it ain't making no daggone sense in the least bit. But that's Mercury retrograde.
That's exactly. It's making sense out of nothing. But I pulled a card from my yoga deck, and this one is Satya, which is about telling the truth. And so I'm wondering if some truths are going to be uncovered about some changes that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
What you got? Yeah, that is an interesting pull for me.
It starts
going to be
with
something
2 of
uncovered.
Cups and 5 of Cups.
Mm.
So we start with some conversations that are had that lead to some. I heard the word guilt, and that's not what that means. Well, I guess that's what that means if that's what it said. So it's there is some. I think there's some decision making that is possibly going to happen within our government that is going to lead to some undesired results.
Yes.
The 9 of Cups and the 8 of Pentacles, there was a good intention, possibly, but it was not worked out the way it was supposed to be. This is wishes. Wishes is cute in theory if you see the shooting star. But when it comes to policy, we need definite, we need finite things. We need things that make sense when you put two and two together. The collaborations here with the Three of Pentacles, the Ace of Swords, there's that truth that is coming out, and that leads to strife. That leads to fighting. That leads to arguing, bickering, politics. That means that there is not just, because see, the Five of Wands is not one side against the other. It's five people with different agendas, and you don't know who's on whose side. And so I think this may even implode. If we talk politics, there's going to be fights on both sides within their own camps, type of thing. And so that is going to cause some worry. And so I think whatever indeed is coming is going to cause public stress.
Yes.
And so we are going to have a new policy, a new happening, a new something that is going to cause some public turmoil when it comes to travel. And it's like I said, it was supposed to have a good intention. It just did not happen that way.
Yeah. Starts off with the Queen of Cups crossed by the Four of Cups. There's a lot of emotion too. Whatever they're trying to do there's a lot of emotion behind it, a lot of fluidity behind it, right? So you've got this wanting to start off with this support, but it's crossed by something that we're going to be dissatisfied about. They're going to give us something that we don't necessarily want. There's some indecision as well. I don't know whether to crap or go blind. I don't like, thank you, me, myself, and I for the super chat. May that generosity be returned to you immediately.
Got that too.
I don't like what's presented to me, so therefore I don't want to choose either. And we're starting to already see it now. We saw it with the mask situation, like, bruh, really? But it's going to continue to trickle down because we're making things partisan that are not partisan, that are just what I would like to call common cat snatching sense, right? Okay, so we're not going to want to make this decision. We have felt the burden. We're battle weary with the Nine of Wands in the recent past. However, at the crown of this is Six of Cups. It's like we all remember how, those of us who were old enough remember how traveling used to be before 9/11.
Well,
Yes.
Your whole family went to the terminal with you.
Right.
The days where we didn't have to take our shoes, socks, and bra off just to go through security. I could walk through TSA eating a Publix sub and drinking a Coca-Cola. But whatever this change is going to be, we don't want what's presented. We don't want to make a decision because we want to go back to how things were. Okay. We're going to be mentally flummoxed. I'm going to go ahead and say it in the initial beginning. Whenever this decision is laid down, it's like the mask thing. It's really not that big of a deal, but somehow we're going to make it a bigger deal than what it is. We're going to tell ourselves this little mind story, child, and not want to go with it. I keep saying there is a reason I did not realize that my passport expired. I thought it was next year. It was this year. And for the life of me, for the person who used to spend weeks at a time overseas, I have not rushed to go renew it. And I'm like, there's something that's blocking me. My body knows before my mind knows. And I'm wondering if Spirit is telling me there's no need, boo-boo, don't worry about it anyway. Because you're not going to be traveling at least this year internationally again anyway. I'm wondering. And the emotion is the Four of Pentacles. We want to hold on to something. It could be the past, a way of life, something we want to hold on to. In the environment, though, is this Two of Cups. And I think that could be the government. There are people, like Johnny was saying, like-minded. They want to do the right thing, but it's probably not going to play out well. There's going to be some having to take a step back. I think this could be us. And the word of warning. It's the Four Swords. We may have to take. I love the card because this knight is like, I'm gonna go ahead and do the mummy pose. I can take a siesta. We're gonna have to take a step back. I think though we're going to charge forward with something with the Knight of Swords. I just don't know what it is. I did some more clarifying. There's the Devil, woo, 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 the Sun, and the Queen of Wands. So there's something we don't like that we're going to have to rally and coalesce against because there is some illumination about something. What did you say, Lauren? You said there's some truth about some.
Yeah, my card was about truth, and this is either about the fact that new truths are going to be revealed, or the fact that there is a lack of truth happening around the whys of the changes and the what's going on. This can go either way, either that truth is necessary or that truth is, going to change our views and perspectives. You said something that was interesting, which is about 2001 and 9/11, and that's exactly the last time that the North Node was in Gemini. So we are in that same cycle. And that's why there's conversations around travel and how this is going to be affected. Because as you said, ever since that, travel's never been the same again. And I see that there's a potential for there to be new modes of shifting. And, we've seen what's happened with the pandemic and how travel has been the biggest part of how that's all, spread and all that. So I just see some new modes arising in the near future.
John, you had a face earlier, and I love it when you have a face because that means you've got a profound thought. Would you care to share that profound thought?
No. I will share it with you, but it would be
later,
off camera.
Okay. All right.
Because it's a retrograde thing, and it will be misunderstood if I say it out loud. So
Can't wait for the after party, and after the party is the host of the lobby.
Yes.
About travel, Lauren, what else do we need to cover? What else do we need to illuminate right now? Why am I chasing a gnat that y'all can't see on camera? Sorry.
I feel you. That's what happens when you have plants in your house.
Yes. I was like, everybody's going to think I'm chasing something crazy. It's a gnat. I'm so sorry. Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. I think we can come back around to the intention setting and where people should be at. Because again, this is like, we're on the day. The energy is here. So let's give people something to focus on for tonight and, what to focus on right now while we're in this energy being, in this little portal of time. I think that could be a good possibility. What does Spirit want us to know right now for this new moon that we're in?
I want to follow it up. What does Spirit want us to know? And then I also want each one of us, have we had a something we can take away to share with the group as well?
Wait. Right? Darn it.
You're welcome, Nancy. Mine, see, if COVID hadn't happened and I would have went on safari last year, my passport would have been updated because I would have noticed that my passport was expired, getting ready to expire.
Okay, I distracted myself. What was the question?
Okay.
Something to focus on.
What does Spirit want us to focus on?
Okay.
Yeah.
Just setting this intention for the new moon, particularly.
Okay.
I'll pull a different card too.
I already pulled that one. Sorry. I just heard the song. Based on the cards that I'm getting.
Okay, so I've got in the flow. When I'm in the flow, magic happens. And I think that's really just about tapping into the energy that you're feeling right now. So it's like if you're feeling the desire to set intentions and really be like with that new moon energy, move with that. If your body and your mind are saying like, I'm just going to let this eclipse kind of move me, then, and you don't feel like that this is the time for you to be setting intentions, listen to that. Be in the flow and try to not let external voices make your decision for you. Let yourself know that the answers are within.
Yep. Seven of Wands. This is moving to the higher ground, but this is defending successfully. You would think that, 6 wands against 1, that person would be obviously outnumbered. They would be outmatched. But no, when you have the advantage, then you win, or you have at least the advantage. Here we have third eye blossoming and Keter, spirituality. This is where your advantage is going to come from. Draw closer to source, draw closer to something outside of you, even if it's just nature. Like I said, something that's always going to be there. You will start to grow during this season. And when things are retrograde, they are slowed down to the point to where they look like they're going backwards. That's kind of what retrograde means. And so it is very hard to advance when something feels like it is going backwards, when something feels like it is getting worse. This is where you have to go and you lean on old reliable. You lean on the thing that you cannot deplete. You lean on the thing that is always there. That is how you are going to grow and blossom during a time that everything's going backwards.
Sorry, when you I'm laughing at something that has nothing to do with our live stream. My sister's a jerk. Okay, so I always turn off notifications on all devices because I just saw a text message pop through and it took everything out of me to fix my face to not respond to what she just texted me. Spirit wants you to know that right now there's a storm field. Mercury retrograde with this, everything that's going on, it feels Mercury. There's a storm field. It feels like the tornado is coming. The tornado is not coming. The tornado is here. Once it is done, there will be much to celebrate. Sometimes you got to go through some tough knocks to get your hard knocks so you can celebrate. Okay. And just be open, outrageous openness. Like Lauren was saying, if you're open to not wanting to set intention, don't do it. If you are open to, like everything Johnny was saying, and making these big changes and acknowledging and sitting through, then be open to it, but don't half-butt it. Be very committed to which side you're going to do and be open so you can bring in whatever it needs to be. Because my dad always tells me, even an inaction is still an action.
Yes.
So be open. If you're like, I don't want to set an intention tonight, then don't worry about it. Be open to it and just know that inaction is still an action, but it's blessed and protected by spirit.
I have a question before we go to the last one. What do you believe a person can do during this when is retrograde on 22nd?
22nd.
Yeah.
What can they do day to day to sort of, well, let me rephrase already. What can they do at the beginning of the day or the end of the day? Because by the end of the day, you've kind of had it with the world and so much happened and you might want to scratch and punch and kick. So what can they do to sort of dial back that energy?
Yeah, well, Gemini is air. And so my advice is using your own air, breathing deeply is the key to getting through this time period, because Mercury retrogrades can be challenging, but Mercury retrograde in Gemini is like on another level. It's like on 100, So knowing that and giving yourself the opportunity to practice patience is one of the best gifts you can do, but it has to start in the morning. Like you have to start with that clear mind, because the way we start our day will trend of how the rest of the day falls. And, you said something really important about talking to spirit, talking to God, however that shakes out for you. And the way I always like to phrase that to people is that praying is when we talk to God and meditation is when we listen to God. You have to have both. You have to have the time where you're speaking and you're sharing what you want to say, and then you have to have the time to receive. And giving yourself spaciousness is the key. Like air needs more spaciousness because Gemini, it's air, but it wants to kind of like ping pong, in your head. You have to breathe and recognize that this too shall pass. Like this is just a short window. Retrogrades are so good for going back and like continuing old conversations. Like the other day, I was feeling frazzled. I went through and deleted 1,000 emails out of my email. And you know what? I felt more clear afterwards. And it's like those emails, I don't even, quote unquote, know they're there. They're still taking up space. They're still holding an energy. I'm in the process of moving right now. And like part of my process is like, what can I get rid of? Because our stuff holds energy too. And so Mercury retrograde is a beautiful time for clearing out your space, like getting rid of old things, getting rid of old emails, maybe considering relationships that need mending. Maybe there's a person you haven't talked to in a couple of years and you're like feeling called to reconvene or, recontinue that conversation. That's a Mercury retrograde thing. So things that have already happened in the past, journaling about things that have happened in the past is a really good way to get those thoughts out and get them on paper so that instead of just being in the air, they're also in the earth and they're grounded. And I agree with Adrian on intention setting. You don't want to burn your intentions. Your intentions, you want to keep them, but you might want to burn, another piece of paper of like, okay, this isn't serving me anymore, or this grudge I'm holding, that is the stuff you do want to get rid of and let go of. And so Mercury retrograde is a super potent time for releasing these old stories. So there's a lot of good that can come out of it. We just have to reframe. So breathe, practice meditation, listen to spirit, and that comes through finding spaciousness, whatever that means for you. That's the answer to me.
I like that. And I will also say, because when you were talking about the breathing and meditation, if you are in a situation, you're out in the world or whatever the case may be, if you can steal away after you have encountered whatever you have to make you want to react, if you can steal away, and Adrian has them, Jody Roberts, Lauren Margulies, they have sound meditations on their channels. Even if it's not for what you want, just hearing that sound break up all that negative energy in you, I'm telling you, it works. Just do it one time. I guarantee you. If you are whatever's going on in your head, if you are frazzled, if you are angry, you're about to react to something, just walk away, put on one of them sound meditations, and just let it happen. I guarantee you it will take whatever is in you, it will break it up, and I guarantee you it's going to be less important after you walk away the next time. Try it.
Mercury retrograde too is a time to reflect on if something needs to come to an end as well.
Yes.
Because it is the most important thing is the reflection. There have been times where you may be in the angst of, I'm feeling this, I'm going through this. You may need to sit back and go, what needs to end? And do I really need to reflect on that? And you may come through it and go, I don't. Or you may go, you know what? This time of reflection really made me realize that thing, that relationship, this debt, the spending, whatever I'm doing is not serving me. And I would not have had time to do it unless I was forced to have the time to reflect on it, which is what's going through retrograde. So it's not even so much about, do I need to rekindle the old? Sometimes it's just, I need to reevaluate the old. And does it need to come with me outside of this retrograde? Does it need to come with me on June 23rd? Or does it need to end? So just a thought.
That is very true.
Thought I wanted to add.
Yeah, that is very true. Endings are very profound during Mercury retrograde because it's a decision. It's this is not working for me anymore. Sometimes those are of our choosing and sometimes they're not. But if they're not of our choosing, there's a reason. And, you just have to know that there's something bigger happening.
Yeah. While we're on this, I want to end two ways. One is we've kind of already done it, but let's do a final What is one piece of advice what is one thing you observed during this retrograde and a piece of advice that you have? And I'll start with you, Lauren, and then Johnny.
Oh, something that I've been working on in this retrograde is remembering that, when somebody else is speaking and sharing their experience, it's a reflection of them. It's not a reflection of me. And sometimes it's really hard to not take things personally when it's being directed at you. But I think when we take a step back and remember that they are reflecting their own experience and you're just the mirror, I think that's a really powerful observation. And that's something that is cyclical for me, where it's like I remember it and then it goes away for a while and then it comes back. And that's been coming back for me during this retrograde, is remembering when I get frustrated, I'm like, oh, wait, this isn't about me. This is about you. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't take critical advice and things of that nature, because sometimes it is directed towards you to help you. But if somebody is spewing at you, you have to remember that you can put up boundaries around that, and you don't have to take that all in as your own. Sometimes that's their stuff to work through.
To check myself. That's
before
what.
You wreck yourself.
Yes. Because we can do the most damage to us because, we are the first line of defense to the BS that we spill out or take in. Mm-hmm. There's a walking stick right here, over here, that I walk with sometime on my live streams. And a lady left a comment saying, why are you walking with the stick? Typed words have an energy in here. Mm-hmm. First, how did I just read that? And so that is not her fault. That is not her problem, how I perceived her words. Mm-hmm. Why are you walking with the stick is not a controversial statement. And so I wrote back because I can. And that was snarky, and it was meant to be, because that's what I thought she was doing. Mm-hmm. And then she came back and said, well, I know you can. I just thought maybe you were hurt or something. And then I'm like, oh, well, you're being the ass because she was concerned for you and she didn't want to know why you walking with the stick. Meanwhile, I'm thinking she trying to start something with me. So I pushed the chest out and I'm like, well, let's go. And that's not what she was doing at all. So it's like now during retrograde, I've had it again to where somebody types something and I'm like, here's what needs to happen. So stop looking at that. This energy that's about to rile up and make me push the chest back out, break that up. Because that is starting in here. That person, whatever it is that they type, even if they meant it the wrong way, it doesn't really matter, because you're taking it on. You're taking on an energy that started from in you. So now that I know this, I'm responsible for it. So now break it up. So check myself. That's what I've learned. That's what I'm learning, I should say, in this here retro.
That's beautiful. Thank you both so much for sharing. Mine is that you need to pivot quickly because your anticipated outcome, you need to readjust your perception of your anticipated outcome. Pivot quickly because you're going to have to reset expectations, which is very interesting message for people like me who tend to pivot quickly anyway. You say go tomorrow. You say go tomorrow, but you're like, no, I mean we need to go now. And I'm like, okay, word. It's nothing but just to do. I don't tend to get bogged down in a detail, or I'm just very, very double air sign. God dang it, I will just do whatever. And there have been a lot of things that have happened in the past couple weeks that have made me go, I need to pivot very quickly, even more quickly than I normally think I pivot, because I have got to not pivot because the situation changed. I have to pivot because I had an expected outcome, a hope for the outcome. That is no longer reality, because hope is not a strategy. So I have to be able to understand that hope is what I hoped for did not occur. I need to pivot very quickly to be present, to recognize and understand what is going on right now. I need to continue to pivot to where things are going to continue to change because it's going to be fluid because that's life. And I need to just go, I may not need to have an expected outcome, or the expected outcome may not come in 7 business days. It may have to take 30. It may have to take 6 months. It could take a whole 365. And what are you going to do? How are you going to continue to pivot? How are you going to continue to grow if any of those 3 things are the outcome? And just know that needing to pivot is not going to kill you. It's going to teach you a lot more. So that is mine. Thank you. I was about to ask if you could help. So one of the things I have to pivot, my expectation was I was expecting Amazon was going to deliver a package today before 6 o'clock like it was supposed to before our live stream, and it did not. So I'm having to go with the flow. Johnny is holding, I'm going to still do the giveaway. The giveaway is for the Divine Abundance Oracle. Same cards I've been using all night. Johnny used this deck as well often. We love this deck. It's a great deck. I'm going to give that one away right now. Right now. What I'm about to do, you know how I roll, random number generator. What's going to happen is I just got the email that said it may be here tomorrow, maybe here Friday. Whenever it does arrive, I will ship it out to you. What you do though right now is pick a number between 1 and 100. You've got 15 seconds starting now, 14, 13. Put your number in. Once you've put your number, I'm going to tell whomever how close they got. And then I'm going to need you to send me your mailing address. You have to email it to me because you gotta be about it to win it. I gotta follow the instructions, and then I will ship it out to you. Okay. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We are done. Are you guys still there?
Us?
Yes.
Yes. I'm here.
Mercury is so in retrograde because if you could just see what my computer just did.
No. I've been waiting for that tonight.
I cannot see you guys. I can't even.
My keyboard stopped working last night for absolutely no reason.
Okay.
Unplugged
Oh my goodness.
and it worked. I'm like, stop it.
Johnny, I need you to do me a favor. I'm going to text you the number. I need to refresh my StreamYard, but I'm scared it's going to put me out. Can you tell whoever got this close that they won?
Yes.
Then hold on. That is, I can't. See, Mercury retrograde. I blame everything. I may be right back in 2 seconds, guys. Hang tight. I've got to refresh this.
There she goes.
J-Lo, you got the closest.
Yay. Congrats. That's an exciting prize.
Even though you had 44 numbers up there, man.
I was just looking at shit. Put more than one guess in there.
But you still got the closest.
She's back.
Okay. Who won?
J-Lo.
J-Lo. All right, J-Lo. You're going to have to email me your address at my email address. Oh, lucky girl.
No. I thought we kicked her out.
She was just watching. At least she wasn't moderating. That's kind of what I was expecting you to do, was just kind of hang back. You ain't got to leave, but don't do anything.
Okay, well, she did something. She moderated. J-Lo. That's why she
Let
got.
somebody else.
That's why
We
she
care
got.
about you, lucky girl. We don't want nothing to happen to you.
Yeah, that's why she just got thrown out again. J-Lo,
no.
you please email me redlentilhealing@gmail.com. I need your first and last name or whatever pseudonym I can use to ship this package to you safely. and your full address. I will send this out as soon as I get it, whether that is tomorrow or Friday. I've got orders I'll probably do it Friday because I've got some orders I need to send out anyway Friday. So we will.
I need some meditation oil.
Okay. Well, Johnny's meditation oil, your deck, and the 5 other orders that I have will be shipped out hopefully Friday when your deck arrives. Johnny, your name is Lauren. Lauren, thank you.
We'll blame Mercury Retrograde on that one.
I kicked out of my own live stream. Johnny and Lauren, thank you both so very much for it was a huge, like Johnny said, we adulted a lot during this session. So thank you both so much for your gifts, for being teachers, for everything you do for our community. Thank you both so much.
Thank you for
Well, thank you
me.
for having us.
Absolutely. To Lucky Girl, who is still in timeout, to Tara Newbie, to Connie Brown, to Sharon. I hope there's nobody else I'm missing. Thank you guys for being amazing moderators. To me, myself, and I. Thank you for the super chat. And to all 152 of you guys who showed up and showed out, thank you for joining us. We will see you guys again in the next live stream. Until then, take care of yourselves first. Lucky girl. Then take care of everybody else because we got a lot we're working through right now. So peace, love, and chicken grease. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.